Professional soccer is back in our nation's capital, but this time in a brand new venue. It's the NWSL for the first time ever from Audi Field, and it's next.
As the Washington Spirit look towards a promising future behind stars Mallory Pugh and Rose Lavelle, the defending champion Portland Thorns moment is now. And Lindsey Horan is motivated to continue her offensive surge.
Lindsey Horan wins it in the air, and it's in the back of the net!
It's the NWSL on ESPN. The Washington Spirit versus the Portland Thorns. Live.
In a day and a week that has already delivered plenty of drama in the NWSL, we move into the night with a playoff-bound Portland Thorns visiting the Washington Spirit in a special game at DC United's home of Audi Field. New field, new coach for the Spirit as Jim Cabrera was let go on Tuesday, so perhaps that gives a fresh start. Some hope to a team that started the season with so much of it due to young stars like Rose Lavelle and Mallory Pugh. So as DC looks to the future, Portland looks up the road to the rivals from Seattle. Both teams are already into the playoffs, but thanks to that late equalizer from North Carolina against Seattle earlier today, Portland now has a little more to play for as they head into tonight. Hi, everybody. So glad to have you here with us. I'm Jen Hildreth alongside Allie Wagner. And Allie, we said it, Portland a little more to play for now because if they win tonight and win next week in the regular season finale against Seattle, they get to host a semifinal. So a little extra motivation for a team that's already playing pretty well.
Yeah, and they are rolling. And a part of the reason that they're rolling is because they're getting players healthy. And they now have more depth than they've ever had before. Tonight, Crnogorcevic is going to start. But Caitlin Ford can easily come off the bench and provide a spark in the offense, a different wrinkle as well, with whether it's Caitlin Ford, whether it's Crnogorcevic, or whether you slot Andresina into the midfield. We found out a late scratch with Klingenberg and Midge Purse. I mean, the depth, the talent that this squad has is something to reckon with, and then you're adding a little bit of a wrinkle in terms of how they have more balance in their attack going forward with getting behind or playing in front, and their big stars are producing. So they're rolling, they're peaking at the right time.
A lot of depth and a lot of variety on this Portland team, but one constant through the years has been Christine Sinclair. She's at the top of most categories for this club and has scored in the last couple of games. She's made it to 40 for her NWSL career in terms of goals, and a little bit earlier she caught up with our own Dallin Cuff.
Thanks, Jen. Sink, we were just talking about it off camera. You guys celebrating the fact that Seattle dropped points gives you guys the opportunity to host the semifinal game. Still, you have to win out, though. Does it have a little bit of a playoff mentality coming into tonight's game?
Absolutely. I mean, for our team, it's been the playoffs for, I'd say, the past month. We didn't start this season off too well, and so we've had to pick up points late in the season, and we found ourselves on a little bit of a roll.
Good luck. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, Pen and Allie. We'll take a look at tonight's starting lineups. We've got the opening kickoff here from Audi Field. The first time the Spirit are playing here. You're watching the NWSL on ESPN, presented by Lifetime.
The 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best truck warranty, which covers more than any other truck in its class, inside and out, bumper to bumper. Now's the time to save with exclusive offers like this.
Just gotta make it what you want.
Big night here in Washington, D.C. as we welcome you to the NWSL on ESPN, presented by Lifetime, the Spirit and the Thorns. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Portland Thorns. Allie, you mentioned this just a few moments ago when we were leading into the game. A late scratch sees Midge Purse make the start at outside back, replacing Megan Klingenberg, and Sorna Gorchevich back up top where Ford was on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and we don't have any information of that, but they did have that midweek game, and I know they're checking numbers coming in tonight's match. But Midge Purse brings pace on that left side, more so than Megan Klingenberg, so it'll be interesting to see if Tobin Heath tucks in more going forward in the attack. But Kristen Sinclair has been on a tear and slotted in behind Anna Marie Sorna Gorchevich. Those two can combine really nicely.
Thorns come in having won 5 of their last 7 matches. Starting lineup for the Washington Spirit using this 4-2-3-1 formation. They also had to make a couple of changes as Rebecca Quinn was a late scratch, so Whitney Church moved back into that back line and Mallory Eubanks getting the start at left back.
And that shifts things around because I know that Tom, the new manager, wanted to slot Andy Sullivan up higher with her ability to cover ground so she could actually spy Lindsay Horan, but now she's going to be a double pivot with Maggie Doherty-Howard. They're going to have to shield that back line, and the key for Washington is really unleashing the talent of Lavelle Pugh and Ashley Hatch. Let those two shield and get those 3 going.
We'll see if this can spark something for this Washington Spirit team. Tom Torres taking over in the midweek, just before that midweek game that the Spirit played against Utah, replacing Jim Gabera. Tom's been an assistant this season and had been involved with the Development Academy, both for the Spirit and then prior to that for DC United. Mark Parsons, a former head coach of the Washington Spirit. He took the Spirit to the playoffs 2 straight years, then made his way to Portland, where he has done the same thing, taking his team to the postseason, winning the NWSL championship a year ago, and they're headed back to the postseason again. Let's quickly go down to Dallin Cup on the field for an update on why Megan Klingenberg is out of the lineup.
Thanks, Jen. I was just talking to Mark Parsons. He said she's got a little pain in her abductor. They're trying to be cautious right now, so they took her out. She felt it when she warmed up. Midge Purse started in the lineup.
Thank you, Dallin. That's something that she's had a couple of times this season that has kept her out. She's still appeared in 19 matches, but that abductor injury has been bothering her a couple of times. And now we kick off for the first time ever women's professional soccer at Audi Field and back in Metro DC for the first time since 2010. Washington Spirit in the stripes, navy and red. Portland Thorns also with some stripes in white and gray. Can the Spirit mount an attack? It has been well documented, the struggles that this team has had down the stretch that eventually did lead to the firing of Jim Gabera. 9 straight without a win, 6 straight without a goal, but they're on the ball early here. Sonnet was waiting for France to come after it, and perhaps a little bit lucky there that Rose Lavelle didn't pounce.
And they picked them off. They picked off Portland in possession, high on the pitch. It was just 2 passes and they were in. And you'd have to think, Jen, yes, with the new coach and in this environment, they're going to have a little bit more spring in their step.
Heath out wide. Sorna Gorchevich gets it across. It is touched down by Church, but not out of danger. Sorna Gorchevich wanting the corner kick, and she'll get an early one here for the Thorns. Portland has been absolutely deadly, not just this season, but the last couple of seasons on set pieces. 14 goals this season off of set pieces. That's the most in the league. And they scored both of their goals on Wednesday night from a penalty kick and directly off a free kick. Now they get an opportunity from the corner here.
And no one's on Lindsay Horan. We'll see who picks her up with the run.
It's never a good idea on set pieces if you're trying to defend Portland. Here is Midge Purse, who got the start with that late scratch to Megan Klingenberg. It has been a gorgeous couple of days here in the DC area. 77 degrees, clear, no smoke anywhere to be found. I know a lot of these teams have had to deal with that out west. Beautiful night, beautiful venue for this matchup. Aubrey Bledsoe got the night off on Wednesday in goal for Washington. She is the league leader in saves, just under 100 at 99. Tobin Heath has played like a woman on a mission these last few matches in particular. Here's Haley Rasso, got around the corner, get the ball across. Ellie Carpenter headed it back into the box. Lavelle. Hatch is trying to make a run centrally for her. Lavelle will cut it, go all the way across, trying to find Mallory Pugh. Those two called in for the U.S. for their upcoming matches against Chile. Last couple of friendlies before they get ready for World Cup qualifying in the fall. Pugh trying to get around Carpenter. Two bright young stars in this league. One for Australia, one for the U.S. Now it is sent back in, but it'll eventually just go out of bounds. That was Mallory Eubanks. Tom Torres saying he really liked the way she played on Wednesday. To give her a chance.
Yeah, and with her ability to play in an attacking role and now slot into the left fullback position, she's so good on the ball that brings a new wrinkle into Washington, because frankly, one of their issues has been being able to play out of the back. They've given their opponent so many chances just being picked in possession deep in their own end, and I think she's going to bring them more stability back there. And, of course, her ability to threaten and get behind.
At this point, Washington trying to look for something that will help them positively getting forward. Sinclair out to Horan. Bledsoe will give this one over to Eubanks, former Mississippi State Bulldog. Now Pugh. Tried to sneak it through three different Thorns defenders. It is headed back by Gorcevic. Sinclair trying to return the favor. Gorcevic has been a big part of this run for the Thorns here down the stretch. Was looking to set up Heath. Celeste Bourret started the last 10 in the midfield for Portland. Portland leading the all-time series between these two teams, 8 wins and unbeaten this season, but both of those matches earlier in the season were close. 1-1 draw in their first meeting, and then a 1-0 win in May. Ellie Carpenter, the only goal in that match. Are there any particular matchups you see out here, Allie, that you're eyeing for either team?
A few in particular. Ellie Carpenter matched up against Mallory Pugh. You mentioned the pace of both those players. It'll be interesting to see if Ellie Carpenter can handle Mallory Pugh's savviness on the ball and who dictates there. And then I'm watching Miggy Doherty-Howard and Andy Sullivan, how they deal with this pockets that Christine Sinclair pops up into, and really the awareness and how they can shut her down, because she really filters a lot, or the attack filters through her.
Those the two holding midfielders in that 4-2-3-1 formation for Washington. There is Doherty-Howard. Out to Taylor Smith. Willing and able to make runs along that far sideline. Lavelle. Sullivan now looking for options. #1 overall draft pick. Caught Pugh in a bad spot, but she gets it back. Pugh making a run. Down on the ground, no whistle though from our referee.
And that was that battle between Pugh and Carpenter.
They set that one up nicely for you, didn't they?
And a little shove from behind by Carpenter. I think you can call that. Pugh got a step on her.
Emily Menges. Nice work from Horan on the ball to give herself a little more room to work with. Carpenter up to Rasso. Rasso's going inside. Had Heath on the outside. Smith looking long. Lavelle. She's been on the ball a lot. That's a good sign if you're Washington.
An even better sign is the freedom that she's drifting with.
Space for Smith. Can she get there? She will. She tried to hit it with her first touch. May have caught everybody by surprise. Pugh, edge of the area for Thorns around her. The shot from Sullivan will not test Adriana Franch. Get you caught up on some of the other scores from around the league today. Big one in particular between North Carolina and Seattle. That one ending 1-1, and what a dramatic finish it was. Lynn Williams at the death, getting one in a scramble in front of the goal. Orlando, Chicago at the moment in a weather delay, so we'll keep you updated on what is going on in Orlando. That's another important match for both of those two teams trying to make it to the playoffs. 3 spots are decided, only 1 spot remains. We know North Carolina, Seattle, and Portland. North Carolina's 1. That's the only one we know for sure in terms of order. Nice long throw from Carpenter. Youngest player in the NWSL pops it back into the box. Gorcevic couldn't do a lot with it. Carpenter's only goal this season came in that May 19th meeting against the Washington Spirit. Became the youngest player not only to play, but then to ever score a goal in NWSL with that one, game winner. Gorcevic back to Heath. Grasso crisscrosses in front of her. Her speed allows her to recover and try to get back to it.
And that's one of Andy Sullivan's jobs tonight, is to play that cover role. But we're seeing early on, saw it last week with Portland, it's Tobin Heath just filtering inside. She has the freedom to go find the game, and it's creating overloads for Portland on this near side.
Haran. Nifty little turn with her left foot. Tobin Heath, Lindsey Horan, 2 key cogs not only for this Portland Thorns team, but also for the U.S. national team. They're called in along with Emily Sonnet and Adriana Franch for the Thorns. Carpenter finding her legs, gets it across, and Claire came flying through. Grasso will play it back to Sonnet. Now Menges. Thorns covering a lot of field. It'll be Heath to take the shot. And then a fairly easy save for number 100 this season for Aubrey Bledsoe.
It's been incredibly positive for Portland in their approach. Emily Mangus, the one that initiated that last attack, just taking that first touch to beat the first line of Washington, and then Portland has width and they have depth. Stretching out this Washington team has been rather easy for most opponents, but I think this Portland side is really well suited to strike in those moments. The way they're built in this 4-3-3, if you will, that just morphs.
Eubanks was fouled there, so Washington will get the free kick right around midfield. Don't let the bow fool you, Haley Rasso. Pretty feisty little player, Australian international. She wins it back. Heath was making a run right down the middle, has Estelle Johnson to get around. What a touch from Johnson. Not much else she could do there with Heath charging down. Ashley Hatch has had a tough year with the Spirit. Menges got in her way, and it'll actually be Hatch who's called for the foul.
Menges did not like that. Hatch has the pace to split these two defenders, and you can see Menges does so well just to cut her off and then draws the foul. That's a savvy defensive play there by Menges.
Bure out to Rasso. She's going to just send that one up and over. Portland came into this match knowing that they were already headed to the postseason, that they were assured of, but when North Carolina got that equalizer in stoppage time, that meant that Portland now has a chance if they win out, if they win tonight, and if they win next week, which will be there, by the way, against Seattle, they would get the right to host a semifinal. And when you're already hosting the championship, and that's 2 weeks, we do have the off week coming up, that's quite a home field advantage to be able to look forward to. Sinclair up to Rasso. Rasso, quick cross. Heath brings it down. Gets around Smith, takes the shot and scores!
This is the dream start for Portland, and watch Maggie Doherty-Howard. It's Eubanks who's pulled out of position, Whitney Church had to slide over and cover, but she's way too far away, so pressure doesn't arrive, and then it's a 1v1 situation with Taylor Smith, Tobin Heath. She does her up, and then roofs it near post. That ball by Haley Rasso, you get the near post run, draws that initial defender, and that allows Tobin Heath to go 1v1. Estelle Johnson not close enough with cover, can't get there after she beats her first defender. And then on that left peg, Bledsoe doesn't have the near post covered, and up 1-0. Portland feeling good in this moment.
And Tobin Heath, see what she's done now in her last 5. 3 goals, 3 assists.
And it's incredibly well executed by Portland, but the space is too large for these Spirit players to cover. They're isolated. And I know Mallory Eubanks isn't used to necessarily playing on that back line with the Spirit. Whitney Church was in midfield last week. Better option for her more than likely, so the speed doesn't become an issue. But with Quinn out, she has to slot in that back line, and Portland's taking advantage of it.
Haran out to Rasso. Rasso, another good-looking ball into the area that Johnson calmly clears. Portland has struck early several times this season. That was the 7th time in the first 15 minutes. Sinclair looking for more.
And they're going to continue to press in like that, Jen. We saw the ball. It was from Estelle Johnson, who slotted out initially. Then Andy Sullivan pops on the loose one, and 2 players smother her. She's trying to lift it between them, but Sinclair's all over it.
Well, we told you about what the Portland Thorns have to play for. The NWSL on Lifetime will return in 2 weeks. Special Friday night primetime edition on September 7th from Providence Park in Portland, Oregon. This Thorns team hosting their rivals Megan Rapinoe and the Seattle Reign. Coverage beginning at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 Pacific. Make sure you stay up for that one live in primetime Friday, September 7th on Lifetime. A lot on the line for this Portland Thorns team. And as Mark Parsons talked about, it's kind of expected there. This is the team coming off the NWSL championship. They expect to be playing for these types of things as they near the end of the season. North Carolina's wrapped up the Shield, but that second place spot still up for grabs. Church sends it in. Purse. Heath will go back to Purse. And while you hate any sort of injury, you kind of have to love another opportunity coming from Midge Purse, who was really flying high before she was hurt earlier this season. When she was called into camp for the U.S., that's when she was first injured. Another nice combination on this near side. Carpenter, all dancing along the end line. Heath looking up. Sornogorcevic, Haran, Sinclair. Heath saw something she liked in the box. A huge collision. Oh my goodness. Bledsoe's back up, but Lindsey Horan may be a little woozy after that.
And what a run. You see her bend away from it and then just drive towards the service from Tobin Heath, who's launching this in between Bledsoe and Estelle Johnson. Two players from Portland there. But it's Bledsoe and Horan who collide midair.
Good to see Lindsey Horan back up and moving.
She is so fearless in the air. 5 of her goals have come off of her head.
She is having quite a season. 11 goals, more than her last 2 years combined, and just behind those Golden Boot leaders, Lynn Williams for North Carolina and Sam Kerr for Chicago.
And factor in that she's playing in a deeper role. Really sits by Celeste Bourret in that midfield triangle with Sinclair at the point, which has freedom to advance.
And she's on the ball a lot. Leads the NWSL in touches, Lindsey Horan. Pugh has Eubanks making a run. Carpenter got in the way of that attempt. Sinclair. Pugh. Both she and Lavelle central at the moment.
And that's a freedom you just didn't see before. I know both of them have suffered injuries throughout the course of the season, but the freedom to place change, to come across, to overload zones, wasn't as prevalent.
And Jim Gabera has been a head coach in women's professional soccer from day one throughout all of the leagues, but in talking to some of the players before the match, you think they just got the sense that something needed to change. The way that this season has gone, not the way anybody in this organization wanted.
And last season.
Yeah, and think about in 2016, this team was a Lynn Williams equalizer in stoppage time away from winning the NWSL championship. Wound up going to penalties and they lost that one to the Western New York Flash. Sinclair hopping onto that ball, now gets cleared by Doherty Howard. Heath. She didn't hit on that one, obviously. Had that good ball in that Horan tried to get, but I think one thing you do not want to see, and we've already seen it a couple times if you're a defense, is Tobin Heath having the time and space to lift her head and decide what she wants to do with it. Big match going on here tonight. The first ever NWSL match from Audi Field in Washington, D.C. Jen Hildreth, Allie Wagner, Dallin Cuff. And our game of the week for the NWSL on ESPN, presented by Lifetime. The Portland Thorns leading 1-0 over the Washington Spirit. Tobin Heath has the only goal of the match so far, that coming in the 15th minute, as Portland did what they have done a number of times this season, strike early. And they have really looked good when they've been in the attack. Had a lot of time in this final third.
And they're really utilizing the space on this pitch. Hard for Washington to shift over, slide over, and get numbers.
Lavelle. Horan and Sonnet trying to make a wall around her, and they do their job.
And quite a stark contrast in that defensive presence from Portland compared to the way Washington hasn't been able to pin Portland in the flanks.
Vanna Salon. The Hatch. Pugh. Sullivan. Lavelle, Pugh, and Sullivan together starting a match. Has not happened a lot this season for Washington. Certainly in the narrative of some of their struggles as a cause. Chicago and Orlando are in action now after that weather delay. Chicago's advantage, the number of games they have remaining, more than anybody else. So really some pressure on Orlando. The Pride does not win that match. If they lose, they are out. Here's Heath looking for more at the near post to save from Bledsoe.
And again, it's just Tobin Heath getting into areas that no one can defend. That first touch goes by Whitney Church, and she's just trying to slide it, beat Bledsoe at near post again. She doesn't have an angle really to go far there.
Third corner kick of the match for Portland. Left-footed ball headed away by Washington. Back to Heath, who got herself back on side. More time to serve. Bledsoe punches it out. Lavelle. Vanna Salon making just her fourth start of the season out to the steady leader in the back, Estelle Johnson. And to another steady leader on the other side, Emily Menges for Portland. Comes Purse. Mark Parsons has used her higher up on the field. How about that little back pass to Sinclair? Here you go, Captain Singh. Probably like that one. Maybe not so much the finish, but had to like the setup. T. Tom Torres, who took over as the interim head coach. Brana Scori there next to him as well, former U.S. national team goalkeeper, Hall of Famer. Salon. Were you surprised, Allie, at the timing of the change? The coaching change?
I think I was surprised that it took that long, to be honest, after last year's results and this year, and just not seeing progression. That was the problem. It looked like the team wasn't playing in a united fashion, and oftentimes that's a real telltale sign that things are amiss and you have to make a change.
Just to add to that, talking to some of the players before, it seemed that the word they kept using was a little bit hope, having hope now. A little coaching change, a little more pep in their step, a little more energy, but I was quite surprised to feel that they felt hopeless early in the season. But this may have reinvigorated them and get them under a good finish to this season, potentially could launch them into something special maybe next year with so much young talent.
Yeah, Dallin, because certainly you're not just talking about these final two games, you're talking about what they may mean in terms of the following season.
And of course these players want to come out and put on strong performances as a result of this, and so look, by all estimations it looks as though it wasn't their fault, if you will. That's a player's mentality, but I don't know how much you can really change overnight and in the course of a week. If you can start to lay down some simple principles, but it's going to be hard to get this squad firing on all. They're not going to fire on all cylinders before the end of the season.
But I think to your point, the fact is that now there's maybe hope that it will change, whereas it hadn't in the past.
Absolutely. And even though that doesn't come off, I think that's better from Washington and having numbers around the ball.
Lavelle over to Hatch. Ashley Hatch, reigning NWSL Rookie of the Year. Couldn't quite get the shot off she wanted, but does earn the corner, and the crowd applauds her for it.
And it's Hatch in open space. One of the qualities that this Washington Spirit does have is pace and players that can run at the back line with Pugh, with Hatch, with Lavelle. And you've got to play to those strengths, and that was one of the first glimpses we've seen of it.
Driven ball from the corner. Not yet cleared. Hatch eventually does put it over the top.
And here's a look at the ball served in by Mallory Pugh. It's a near post run to Estelle Johnson. Sometimes that can be Andy Sullivan. It's Estelle Johnson allows that to skip through, and then Hatch just too eager on the take. And even with Ashley Hatch, I mean, 4 goals, 1 assist. She's been one of their brightest players this year, most consistent in terms of minutes on the pitch. But I think about all the acquisitions they had and just what they weren't able to put together. And I know they had a lot of injuries, but I think that's one of the reasons, too, that these players are now going to perhaps feel hope. That a different style might benefit them.
Rasso just continuing to work, even down on the ground. Maybe not quite ready to keep running after that ball, though. We've mentioned the biggest goal of the day, if you will. This was in stoppage time. North Carolina against Seattle had to have one to draw. Lynn Williams finally puts it away. And that dramatic finish made that one end 1-1. And it, not the prettiest of goals. It doesn't have to be, does it? Made the future shine a little brighter for this Portland team. Chance now with a win tonight and a win in 2 weeks to clinch that semifinal spot at home. Smith. Back to Lavelle. Hatch waiting for it. Had 2 defenders sandwiched around her, though. Pretty well covered. Haran looking for Sorna Gorchevich. Won't find her that time. Allie, is there a weakness if you had to pick one out for this Portland team? Since we know they're going to the postseason, is there anything that if you were Mark Parsons, you'd be focused on trying to make sure you shore it up a bit as you head down these last couple of regular season matches?
You know, I think only a few times do they get exposed in the transition. If Lindsey Horan is pushed up and Bure perhaps is slid over, I think those are the moments that opponents will look to take advantage of. I think a lot of the goals have come off of set pieces or service into the box, so just continuing to be disciplined in those areas would really be the only thing. And then offensively, I think continuing to work on the balance in their attack and recognizing what the opponent is giving if they're squeezing the match to loosen them up with some service in behind. But they're a complete team. They're well-rounded. They've got depth, and they're peaking at the right time.
Sorna Gorchevich and Heath not quite linking up.
It's just such a different team than even last year and the way they went about their business. By the end of the season, they were playing rather direct.
And now they certainly still have that capability, but there's such variety in the way that they attack. Just have to think with this FIFA international break coming up, all these NWSL coaches are saying, just please don't let my players get injured. Please.
You know it. What a ball.
Good vision from Pugh to pick out Smith. Lavelle. Her left-footed shot! Franch wasn't sure she could hang on to it, and this is a keeper who hangs on to just about everything that comes her way. Tells you a little something about that ball that came from Lavelle.
Lavelle just cuts in on that left foot. And you've said it, Jen. France just opts to parry that one. Pugh was closing in on the rebound.
Both Lavelle and France will be a part of the U.S. women's national team that's going to host 2 friendlies against Chile coming up. Both games will be available on ESPN2 next Friday, August 31st at 11 p.m. Eastern. That's from the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Then Tuesday, September 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern from San Jose. Eubanks, a touch to take any opportunity away from Carpenter. Crowd cheering on this potential opportunity, but the offside flag went up against Hatch anyway.
I think Ashley Hatch could have changed up her run. It was rather direct. I think she runs across that back line and cuts in, gives herself just that margin of air to slide in and stay onside, and even a better angle for Sullivan to just feather that into her path. That one's overhit. It's really hard to play someone on such a direct run. If they can angle their run, there's just a better passing lane to slot that into. Glimpses, though, Jen, from Washington.
Which is certainly what you want at this point. Rasso will try to battle for this, and Bledsoe, gosh, took out her own center back at Johnson. And that is the speed of Rasso that caused that to happen. Bledsoe just didn't think she could hesitate on this.
No, and Johnson is trying to do the right thing there and body off Rasso and protect her goalkeeper, allow her to have a clear path to the ball. Pays the price in the end.
As a selfless role sometimes back there at defender. And Estelle Johnson, her 4th year with this Washington Spirit team, has been one of the leaders all season long. Rasso nearly got onto that ball. The distribution from Bledsoe. Menges, her 14th appearance of the season, missed the first 7 matches due to injury, and that was a story for a lot of these players as that ball's intercepted by Pugh. Hatch, Lavelle had to hold up just a little, back to Sullivan. Salon. That's Doherty Howard to the outside. Goes back instead. The shot is going to go wide. France realizing she had it covered. And coming up on the Ford Halftime Show, we will take a look into the complexity of the work ethic of AD. Thorns goalkeeper Adriana Franch, plus Allie and I will break down our first half. That's the Ford Halftime Show. Ford, go further. Rasso. That ball bounced off of Eubanks a little, still went in the right direction. That'll be a throw for the Thorns.
And just a bit of naivete there from Eubanks, because that is a play that Portland does all the time, with Sinclair winning the first, Rasso running onto the second. She bit, and that allowed that space to open up for Rasso.
Whistle blew before that throw was taken. Kaya Koroleva going over, have some conversations. Doherty Howard and Horan. They resume their positioning. Well, you can see why Maggie Doherty Howard was working so hard. She knew where that ball was intended. Unfortunately, she won it, but it went out of bounds for a corner. This is the third. Joe Beneath. Left-footed ball curling into the arms of Bledsoe, and then there was a couple of bodies on the ground in front of her, which she just couldn't help but stumble over a little.
Gonna look back at it. Grasso and Sullivan.
Smith. Tom Torres thought played a really good game on Wednesday in that 1-0 loss to Utah that kept the Royals' hopes alive for the playoffs. The shot is high.
And Salon's been good in this first half for Washington. Yes, that shot doesn't come off. But Andy Sullivan coming out of midfield, putting pressure there, and Mitch Purcell isn't able to clear it. It lands at the feet of Salon. Skies it.
Vanna Salon did not play the last 3 matches for Washington, but getting the opportunity tonight is Rasso and Church. Big collision. Really, Rasso has really taken the worst of it the last couple of moments.
And let's not forget, both these teams played on Wednesday night, and Church just completely, bowls over Rasso there.
Whitney Church making her 20th start of the season tonight. I do believe a card came out here after this, and it did. You agree with that, I think?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, Parsons told us that coming into this match that he felt his squad was getting kicked a little bit more than they had been earlier in the season.
Yeah, that one not a kick, but it still certainly left Haley Rasso down on the ground. A heavy shoulder challenge. And she's having to be looked at. But her insertion into this lineup, you know, we talk about Caitlin Ford, who made her first start, another Australian, on Wednesday night for Portland. But Haley Rasso, who was out the first 11 matches of the season, she adds a different wrinkle to their attack, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's one of those players that we talk about with her ability to stretch the opponent's back line, threaten him behind, and her ability on the ball, I think, is improved even this season. She looks more in control when she does get it at her feet. There's still room to improve, don't get me wrong, but I think she's made strides in that area.
Tobin Heath scored directly off of a free kick on Wednesday night. Bouncing ball similar to that one. But Aubrey Bledsoe wasn't about to let it happen that time.
No, she does incredibly well with that, because this is perfectly placed by Tobin Heath. Just skips it in. That's exactly what they're looking for. Horan to get little touch on it. If she does, it finds the back of the net, or it disrupts Bledsoe's path to it. But she's all over that and smothers it.
Bledsoe will now try to send it forward. Have you liked what you've seen from the Pugh, Lavelle, maybe even Sullivan at times combination in this first half?
Yeah, when they've found each other, and I think they're taking more impetus to be on the ball, not release it right away, trying to be more creative, more freedom in their play.
Stell Johnson's going to come in, try to get the throw from Hatch. Those were 2 Washington players who bumped into one another and went down. Smith looking for Lavelle. Sinclair. Horan's ball in between Heath and Purse, so it winds up with the Spirit. Taylor Smith got the ball on the far sideline from Sullivan. Taylor Smith, one of those players with something to prove, someone who was in the U.S. national team mix and has since fallen out of favor with Jill Ellis, similar to Andy Sullivan also. They want to take any opportunity they can to try to get back on the international stage. Heath to a wide open Celeste Bourret. Her shot is high. Bourret with a pretty nice setup on a platter from Heath there.
And it's Taylor Smith who comes firing out to just try to put a little bit of pressure on Bourret, but she has time enough to get that shot off.
NWSL will be taking a week off for the international break next week, as some players like Anna Sornogorcevic will head to World Cup qualifiers. Some like Sinclair will head to international friendlies. U.S. players as well. Here is Sornogorcevic. And then we come back. Final week of the regular season. Portland, if they can hang on and get the victory here at Audi Field, with a chance to play for the best home field advantage in the NWSL. They win tonight, and win against Seattle. Will be there in a couple of weeks. Friday night, prime time on Lifetime on September 7th. Portland, Seattle. What a matchup that could be for that rivalry. To have a second place spot and a home playoff game on the line. Purse. Got spun around by Smith. Only player up there for Washington is Hatch. And it's going to dribble into the box to Franch.
Smith's decisions with the ball just haven't been there. Some of her recognitions and her movement have been great, but it's that final product that's lacking. Even that last one, she just didn't allow the play to develop for Hatch. By herself a couple times so she can get in a better position against her defenders.
We've seen on the U.S. side of things, Jill Ellis use a number of different players at that outside back position. As we said, Smith was one of those earlier. Since she's gone some different directions. Pugh. Lavelle. Could Washington sneak one in here? Break their scoreless streak before halftime. What that would do for some motivation, but it's not going to happen on that attempt.
It's been all Portland from the early goings. Glimpses from Washington at this point have looked positive, but Portland looks to be flying.
Portland does have the advantage 1-0 over Washington. Coming up next, it is the Ford Halftime Show. Great feature coming your way on Thorns goalkeeper Adriana Franch, plus guys Jen Hildreth, Allie Wagner, and Allie in this first half. We thought we might see a little more pep from Washington, but really it was just some good execution on the goal there from Portland.
Yeah, I think you said exactly right. I think Portland went to what they're good at, which is pressing high up the pitch, winning the ball in advanced areas, and then lately they've been overloading zones with Tobin Heath coming over to the opposite side, and oppositions just don't know how to deal with it. And I think Washington started to figure it out a little bit and getting numbers around the ball to solve it, but one up for Portland right now. And it really came off of this play here. This is where Washington struggles because they get spread out so much, and there's this big gap. Mallory Eubanks bites, and then no one is there marking Sinclair. That was either supposed to be Sullivan or Maggie Doherty-Howard. She's wide open, and then she's able just to lay that ball right into stride for Haley Rasso. Look at how far cover has to come over in Whitney Church. She can't get there in time. That ball slides across, and now you've got a 1v1 situation, really, Tobin Heath, because cover with Estelle Johnson isn't close enough, and she does have Smith there and then roofs that near post. Such a quality finish by Tobin Heath. I mean, but way too much time to dance like that in the 18-yard box and then unleash a shot.
Definitely too much time for a player like Tobin Heath, and she made the Spirit pay for it. But Washington did manage to get some shots off, much more so than they did on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and Lavelle Pugh, they were the ones that were getting going. Andy Sullivan as well. In that situation was Lavelle cutting into her favored left foot, but Franch is there.
7 shots for Washington. They only had 2 the entire match on Wednesday night, so now get a few more on frame like that one. Force Franch to make some saves. Maybe we get a little more to talk about in the second half. At the moment, Portland leads it 1-0. When we return, we'll have the start of our second half here from Washington, D.C. This has been the Ford Halftime Show. Ford, go further. Second half ready to go from Audi Field. Portland Thorns leading the Washington Spirit 1-0 after the first 45. Tobin Heath had the goal in the 15th minute. Her 6th of the season to go along with 6 assists. Portland out shooting Washington 9-7 in that first half. Thorns team trying to keep their hopes alive to have a chance to host a semifinal. They can take a step toward doing that with a win here tonight. Taylor Smith plays it back to Johnson. North Carolina, Seattle, Portland all know that they will be in the postseason, but that 4th spot, it is still up for grabs. Havana Salon gets it up to Hatch. The shot is taken on the ground, too easy to save for A.D. Franch from Andy Sullivan that time. But look at that score line. It was scoreless not too long ago, but then the Sam Kerr show kept rolling on. Vanessa DiBernardo added one, and that's 2 big goals for Chicago, a team to watch out for as they can continue to make their way up the table. Don, you had a chance to talk to both coaches there at the break. What'd you find out?
Yeah, first talking to Tom Torres, interim manager for the Spirit. He's really pleased offensively. They create some opportunities. Said defensively, though, need to keep our work rate up and maintain our organization defensively. On the other side, Mark Parsons said we've got to be really wary of their moments in transition. We have to be good on their moments in transition defensively and offensively. Keep attacking, stay on the front foot, don't get complacent, keep being aggressive.
Yeah, you'd have to think that is certainly something to be wary of if you're Portland, as Heath just barely manages to keep that ball in bounds. Don't get comfortable, as you have a very hungry Washington Spirit team who would love to be able to find a goal, find something positive, especially here in this special venue at Audi Field. First time ever for women's professional soccer here. Beautiful new home of DC United that opened last month. Celeste Bure has 2 runners there, and Serna Gorcevic is going to come up with it. A little too unselfish. Could have taken the shot herself, and instead it amounts to nothing. Heath having her way when the ball is at her feet. The shot is high. Quick one-touch setup there for her end, though, from Serna Gorcevic.
This is the last look at Serna Gorcevic. Just wins that battle with Estelle Johnson, and then I think she's trying to slide that across to Haley Rasso, and then here's Tobin Heath again going 1v1 against Smith. Good positioning there and layers with Serna Gorcevic just holding up play and Horan sneaking in underneath. And that's all in the 18-yard box.
Yeah.
That last attack, by the way, the previous one was set up by Celeste Bure, and her ability in midfield, we don't speak about her often, but she does some subtle things incredibly well, and she's the one who slipped in Serna Gorcevic.
You know, she's one of those, as you said, with all of the big names around Portland, you don't talk about number 30, Celeste Bure, very much, but she has worked her way into the starting lineup now for 11 straight for the Thorns team and is playing an important role.
Really important, because Lindsay Horan has the freedom to go, and so she's the one that has to hold down the fort in front of that back line. Oftentimes they get their outside backs rotated high as well.
Offside. against Mallory Pugh will halt this attack for Washington.
This is the look at the one with Celeste Bourret. Watch her positioning, just sitting in that gap first of all, and then the recognition that no one's coming close so she can face, and then the little deft touch in behind. You saw the spin on it, it just glides right into the path of Cerna Gorcevic. So well done.
Heath. Vanna Salon wisely came over to help, but does wind up giving up the corner. Fourth of the match for Portland. Aubrey Bledsoe trying to set her defenders in front of her. Portland so dangerous on any set piece. Jobin Heath puts it up. And Cerna Gorcevic frustrated with herself, not able to get it back to Heath. Cerna Gorcevic, first player from Switzerland to play in the NWSL, over 100 appearances, and is the all-time leading scorer for the Switzerland women's national team, over 50 goals. So brings some great international experience here to the NWSL, her first year in this league with Portland. And she's got some big qualifying matches coming up. Chance for her nation to qualify for next summer's Women's World Cup in France. That's what she'll be doing over the break. Not much of a break. Switzerland has matches against Scotland and Poland.
That's better defense by Washington.
Unfortunately for them, though, it winds up with Rasso. Johnson laid a foot out there, broke it up for a moment anyway. Horan coming back for the ball, sees Carpenter wide open on the far side, delivers it. Carpenter still trying to go against a couple of defenders. It's another bright young player to watch in this league. Ellie Carpenter, just 18 years old, Australian international. Midge Purse got the start at left back for Portland tonight due to a late scratch to Megan Klingenberg. Rebecca Quinn, a late scratch for Washington in the back line. Sinclair. Heath. Bending it in, and the save by Bledsoe.
Portland again just having their way, creating chance after chance. Tobin Heath trying to curl that into the far post. Bledsoe read it all the way, but just too easy to get around the outside for Portland on this near side.
Aubrey Bledsoe now over 100 saves for the season. She came in needing just 7. I shouldn't say just 7. That's a pretty decent number of saves to have to make in a match, but needing 7 saves to tie the NWSL single season record. Ellie Carpenter, one of several Australians not only in NWSL but on this Portland Thorns team. Haley Rasso, Caitlin Ford, player you may see off the bench tonight. Horan, as she so often does, won that ball in the air. Here's Bourret. Softer touch to Cerna Gorcevic. Rasso back to the Swiss international, across the face of the goal. Horan waiting for it. Washington escapes.
But Portland just cycling it back in. That outlet for Washington hasn't been there in the early goings of this second half.
Long ball into the box. Bledsoe. It hung for so long. She punched it in, and again it is Rasso down on the ground. And no ill will there, just a goalkeeper trying to clear the ball. But gosh, Rasso has been hit hard. I think that's the third time this match. Got to imagine that's going to have Mark Parsons looking over to his bench, considering substitution.
Yeah, I don't know if Rasso just didn't anticipate Bledsoe to be that far off her line. You can see all eyes on the ball, and then that challenge comes in from behind. If I'm Mark Parsons, saying, just stay out of those for the moment, Rasso.
Yeah. Although that's, you know, that's her nature, getting after it, going for the ball, and you never, of course, want to take any sort of aggression away. But at the same time, to your point, she's gotten the worst of it a few times tonight.
And so many times when a ball is lofted at that trajectory, you know that there's enough time for the goalkeeper to get off her line and come make a play on it. So you've got to anticipate it coming. Oh, that's crazy if it is a foul on Rasso.
That's what we're being told, which I would be utterly ridiculous. I don't think there was a foul either way. I mean, I don't know what you think. I mean,
I'm with you.
Bledsoe is clearly just coming out to punch the ball.
And both players have all eyes for it. You almost wonder there if Estelle gives a little nudge to Rasso as well.
I mean, she's clearly trying to play the ball.
Yeah, and nothing there from Estelle. So I just wouldn't call anything.
Right. Well, as we've talked about, plenty on the line for Mark Parsons and the Portland Thorns tonight. They sit in third place, 36 points, trying to keep up with their rivals from Seattle to set up what would just be a massive showdown in a couple of weeks at Providence Park. If Portland can win tonight, they will have done everything they can to continue to control their own destiny. Seattle also with a chance to do that. Could come down to that match to determine who will be hosting that other semifinal, along with North Carolina. We know they'll be hosting the second semifinal in the NWSL playoffs. Like I said, it's been a rough night for Hayley Rasso. This will look back to the first half and the first time she took a big hit.
And it was from Church from the side. And then this one's from Bledsoe from behind.
Ouch. A stretcher has been brought out for Hayley Rasso. Certainly hope she'll be back on her feet before long. Spent some time in an ice bath, I imagine that's in her future.
Yeah, and you'd wonder if at this point, if she can't come back on and play, why risk it and bring on Caitlin Ford?
Yeah, Ford's a player who I know Mark Parsons didn't want to start back-to-back just simply because he is still bringing her back from an injury she suffered in the W League semifinal. Didn't make her first appearance this season until August 5th. Has played just 4 times, had her first start on Wednesday night, but like she was still sitting down on the bench.
And Rasso just looks to be in an awful lot of pain.
Yeah. So at the moment, Portland down a player. Now it does look like Ford is getting set to check in. I think Mark Parsons wanted to bring her in at some point anyway, but certainly this was not the type of circumstance he envisioned to have to make the substitution. Menges. One of the most solid defenders in that back line for Portland, and I think so incredible that she has only committed 1 foul this season. And I would imagine, without doing the research on the fly, that there's not another center back in the league you could say that about.
Well, a lot of it is due just to her smart positioning. She reads the play so well. She usually gets that one step on the attacker. She has really well-timed tackles.
Caitlin Ford does make it official, comes into the match for Rasso. Immediately gets onto the ball. She's hungry for her first goal. Heard her tell you in our pregame show. What a ball! Sinclair to it, back to Horan, header, cleared off the line. Andy Sullivan keeping it out of the goal that time for Washington. Good long throw, one of the weapons of Ellie Carpenter to her Australian national team teammate. Ford, back heel from Heath. Smith charging forward. Still Johnson knocks that one out of bounds. Let's go down to Dallin. Dallin, you have an update from the field on Rasso?
Yeah, unfortunately, she's still laying in the stretcher right now. They're trying to figure out how to get her off the field because right now she's so much lower back pain that they're not going to sit her up. So they're trying to figure out right now how to manage that situation by keeping her horizontal but getting her off the field. They're still determining if they're going to take her to a hospital or do some sort of examination, further examination here. But I'll try to update you as we hear more.
Yeah, thank you, Dallin. It's never good to hear. See if anybody can keep possession here for a couple of passes. Bouret, not an easy ball for Sonnet to handle, but no problem. Nobody really around her pressuring for Washington. Gorcevic, who's out wide at the moment, pushed down. So it'll be a free kick for the Thorns.
And it's just an efficient change of point attack for Portland. They spring it outside to Gorcevic, and you see her pull away there from Eubanks. She trips her up from behind. We know how dangerous Portland can be on these set plays.
Said it earlier in the match that Portland has scored 14 times off of set pieces this season, including both of their goals on Wednesday night's win over Sky Blue FC for the penalty spot and from a free kick from that woman right there, Tobin Heath. Keep an eye on number 10, Lindsay Horan.
Washington has everyone back, so Portland doesn't even need their 4 players.
Horan was the target. Johnson won it, and a foul committed by Portland in the process. Big smile from Horan after the fact. Washington now will be making a substitution. Caprice Didasco, who typically we see as a starting left back for this Washington team, replaces Savannah Salon. So let's see how they arrange themselves as they have found a way now, you can see, to carry Haley Rasso off.
Well, it looks like immediately Eubanks pops up top and Didasco slides into that back line, Jen.
What do you think of that move for Washington?
I think it's wise. Tom wants to continue to get Mallory Eubanks minutes, knowing that she's been called up into the U23s and to develop her as a player. So she's got to look and been under a lot of pressure in that left back role now. Put her somewhere where she's perhaps more comfortable in an attacking spot.
Portland leading Washington 1-0 behind a goal from Tobin Heath in the 15th minute. Jen Hildreth, Ali Wagner, Dallin Cuff from our NWSL on ESPN Game of the Week, presented by Lifetime. First time ever from Audi Field. It is a beautiful facility. And the Portland Thorns with an opportunity to host a semifinal. But first things first, have to take care of business here tonight. First step toward doing that is to come away from this match with 3 points. Meanwhile, remember, you do have a Washington team that has had a season that has been very difficult. They have 9 straight losses. They have not scored in the last 6. You know this is a team coming off a coaching change that would love to try to find something positive, especially with the opportunity to play in front of these fans here at Audi Field. No easy feat doing that against a Thorns team that looks to be in a postseason form. Come in having won 5 of the last 7. Caitlin Ford just checked into the match a few moments ago, uses her left foot. It is still alive. Bledsoe got a hand on it initially and then denied Gorchevich from close range.
And it all started with Tobin Heath. She's the one who lays Caitlin Ford into space, and then that near post run for Gorchevich. She actually had Haran at the back post, who I thought she was going to go for, but she has a nice little chip in. Well off her line is Bledsoe.
Here's Caprice Didasco trying to start something on the other end for Washington. As that goes out of bounds, let's go back to Dallin with more on the Haley Rasso situation.
Thanks, Jen. They were able to get Haley Rasso loaded into the golf cart in the stretcher, and they're taking her now to the locker room. They're talking to the training staff. There's no intention right now to take her to the hospital, but just the locker room now for further evaluation. It is a lower back injury. She's in an incredible amount of pain, so they're going to try to manage that situation.
Wow. Well, as we said, we certainly will wait to see how Haley Rasso is able to come out of that. Hope for the best for her, of course. And the break will do her some good. This was the play from just a moment ago here.
And they call it on Ford. And I think that's a really bad call there. That was Estelle Johnson and Ford just battling, and I think Ford got the better of her.
Taylor Smith had that one tapped out of bounds by Purse.
This is one of the few times we've seen Washington there attacking the end in the second half, and I was wondering about when Portland would sit back and absorb more, knowing that this one of the strengths of Washington is on the break. This has all been about Washington creating.
Ashley Hatch, much like Ellie Carpenter on the other end, has a long throw at her disposal. Had to keep it away from her end, though, if you put it in the air.
Just little things that you see out of Ford. Bring that ball down, hold off pressure. Another weapon for Portland.
Caitlin Ford, her first year with this Portland team. She played previously in the NWSL, a couple of seasons with Sky Blue FC, was named the second 11 in 2013. But this is a 23-year-old who, if you think back, she's 2 World Cups under her belt for Australia, and in 2011 was named the young player of that tournament. I think you have to be a bit concerned on the international stage about this Australia team and how loaded they are. We've seen what Sam Kerr can do. She scored again tonight for Chicago and reclaimed her lead in the Golden Boot race.
And how well they tend to play the United States.
Yeah. Ford, Rasso, both part of the attacking unit for this Portland Thorns team.
Carpenter, add her to the list.
Lana Kennedy, Steph Catley, shall we go on? Several Australians who have been bright spots in this league. Minutes gone now. That lone goal from Portland in the 15th minute, the difference in this one. And we know we've talked a lot about the playoff scenarios. A draw, by the way, would take Portland out of the running for that second place spot. So that's something to remember. If Washington does find a way to come back and tie here, a draw takes away any chance of Portland in second. Seattle would clinch.
And that's a fair point and why they would continue to press on. I know this is their style anyways, to be on the front foot. That's what Mark Parson told Dallin at half. But it doesn't feel like it's been a 1-0 game.
Portland certainly has had more of the ball, had more of the opportunities, forced Washington to defend an awful lot. Lavelle up the middle for Maggie Doherty Howard. Back out she goes to Pugh. Mallory Pugh. Tough one for Lavelle to handle. Didasco. Her right-footed shot is high. And this all started with Smith to Lavelle. Lavelle then slips in Doherty Howard. That takes out the whole midfield line, and she has space to run at the back line. And then it's 1v1 with Pugh Megas. Megas does a good job of slowing her down, allowing Portland's numbers to get back. But that pass is just off. It allows Bouret to close down, and then you see the waves of pressure coming. Didasco has enough time and space to get that shot off. She's looking far post. That's what Portland has to be wary of. It's on the break. Carpenter had the touch, then the turn. Mangus. Named the second 11 last season, the best 11 2 years ago. Trying to send Ford forward. Haran. Looking toward that far post. A header from Serna Gorcevic. She's unable to get that one on target. And this is the 15th minute. The difference in this match so far.
With Rasso getting in line, and then Tobin Heath goes 1v1 against Smith, roofs it near post. Such a thing of beauty. But Tobin Heath, we haven't seen her filter over. She's been staying wide more often now on this near side. In the first half, she was coming over a lot, creating those overloads.
Allie, I know you and Dallin talked to several of the Portland players before the match. Were they all watching that Seattle, North Carolina? Were they aware of the whole thing?
They said they were on the bus, and as soon as they tied it up in those waning moments, there was a lot of hooting and hollering.
Well, not only do they never want to see their rivals probably pick up 3 points, but as we've talked about, keeps their home playoff hopes alive in the semis.
Probably first and last time they cheer for North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was interesting talking to Mark Parsons this week, and he said, you know, that they know these last few weeks they've been chasing Seattle, and then he kind of caught himself and he said, well, I mean, chasing North Carolina too, but it's, you know, North Carolina is so far out in front of everybody, and we've known they've been in. They're the Shield winners, so you kind of look at those directly in front of you, but make no mistake, come postseason, all these teams know who they're looking up to and who they're going to try to take down. Bure. Heath stuck her foot out for it. Couldn't do much more than that. If you're Washington, what would you like to see from them, Allie, to give them their best shot here?
Well, even just moments ago, you saw their pressure when they amped it up a bit. They forced Portland to be on their back heel and turn it over.
They've switched the fields this time as Pugh carried it across. Now it's to Didasco. Caprice Didasco into the area. Out to Eubanks. Eubanks' cross beyond everyone. Hatch will be able to get to it. Trying to step over against Purse, but has to play back. Expect a good round of applause here for Washington, as longtime fan favorite for the Spirit, Joanna Lohman, will replace Rose Lavelle. What did you make of Lavelle's night?
Rather quiet, in fact, but I think that's been the case with Washington all year long, is not being able to find those attacking players in advanced roles. But she started bright, but in the second half waned away. I know she said her fitness is still something to come. Perhaps that's a reason for it.
Corner kick on the way now for Washington. Looks like Pugh will be the one to take it. First of this second half for the Spirit. Sullivan all the way over to Didasco. Will be a throw for Washington. Lohman. And just like that, back to Portland. More updates to give you on our NWSL scoreboard. Orlando, Chicago, a very important match. You know, that 1-1 draw that North Carolina equalized in stoppage time. Chicago has now taken a 3-0 lead, and if Orlando loses, their playoff hopes go out the door. A loss, and they will be eliminated from the playoff race. Sam Kerr has scored a couple of times, along with Vanessa DiBernardo. Houston, Linda Malala with the goal for the Dash as they try to keep their playoff hopes alive as well. Crowd trying to get behind this Washington Spirit team. Another substitution on the way for Portland. It'll be the 23-year-old Brazilian Andressinha replacing Surna Gorcevic. How do you think the Thorns will shift with this change?
I'm curious to see if if Sinclair moves, because Andresina will come into the midfield more than likely. She's a player that can bring more tempo, get control of the game, because I do think that to a certain extent Portland has lost that a bit in these last 5-7 minutes or so, and Washington's got on the upper hand. But we'll see if they shift into a more defensive system. That would be the other option.
One change remaining for each team. Ford coming away with it over to Sinclair, who tried to go right back to Ford, nearly gets it back. Haran. Here is Andresina. Tedesco. Pugh trying to run for it. Menges had to come over and clear.
And when you see moments like that from Pugh, you wonder why she doesn't get involved more often. I know she's a young player, but you want her to go find the game because she's capable of breaking lines on the dribble, continuing her run to the box. She's the one who starts out and almost finishes it. But to no avail, because that'll be her last intervention.
Her last and the first appearance of the season for Ariel Shipp. So she makes her season debut. Ball into the box, and French calmly grabs it. Sullivan left to Doherty Howard. Salon heading it toward Lohman. Joanna Lohman, 1 goal on the season. It came way back in the beginning of the season. Sinclair. Just a little behind Caitlin Ford that time.
I think Tobin Heath had Caitlin Ford initially.
Shipp forward for Hatch, but too much on it. Another goal for Houston. Veronica Latsko doubling up their advantage over Sky Blue FC. Remember, both Houston, Utah, Orlando, Chicago, they're all still alive, all still trying to fight, although the hopes for Orlando seem to be heading out the window as Chicago with that 3-0 lead. Nope, 3-1 now. Orlando has scored, so 3-1 lead as Alex Morgan scored in that match. That one is in the 67th minute in Orlando.
Still time.
That there is. We have seen late drama in this league before, and there will certainly be drama in a couple of weeks when we head back out to Providence Park in Portland, Oregon. Prime time, September 7th on Lifetime. The Thorns and the Rain. Coverage beginning at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, live in prime time. Be sure to tune in for that one.
And Jen, answer your question. Portland looks to be in more of a 4-2-3-1 with Andresina actually on that right side. Sinclair holding steady there at the top of that triangle in the center of the midfield. And that is more of a defensive look. Caitlin Ford would just be the outlet.
A little too much contact there. Had a nice conversation with Joanna Lohman before the match. Just wanted to get her take on the entire situation, and she admitted it has really been challenging. And Joanna, one of the oldest players in this league, she doesn't want to be done yet, and this is not how she wanted her playing career to end either. So I think she was certainly hopeful that some changes are afoot and that could be a good thing for this Spirit team. Smith took a hit from her end.
Smith and Heath been going at it. I know Horan's the one that gets her in the end, but it was Tobin Heath trying to recover it and back on Smith. You asked for battles I wanted to see. Well, that one's shaping up nicely, and I didn't anticipate it.
Whitney Church. Whistle will have her try that again. Take two for Church and Washington. Unfortunately for the Spirit, they could set some records they would rather not set tonight. A loss would set the NWSL record both for consecutive losses. That would bring it up to 10, and overall losses in a season to 17. It has just been that kind of a year, unfortunately, for this Washington Spirit team.
And they do have the talent. I think that's been the most frustrating part for this squad, and I know they've been laced with injuries as well.
Lohman clipped from behind by Bure. Smith trying to get to that end line, get her cross through. Won't do that, but will get the corner. Set pieces can be the great equalizer. Does Washington have one in them here?
Smith did incredibly well there too, because she had no help. So she drives end line, forces the issue against Andresina, who had to go to ground.
It'll be Church to take this corner as well. Everyone on the move for Washington. French got to the ball before anybody else could.
This is a great snag by French, because Ariel Ship is really there all over her, and French has to shuffle those feet across and hold on to that as she goes to ground.
Andresina. Portland may feel they deserved more than one goal in this match, but at this point they will try to take just that and hang on and get the full 3 points with that one goal. Unless, of course, an opportunity presents itself. Ford sends it across.
Well, it's that balance. I continuously am looking at Portland's shape and how they're protecting against the counterattack, and they are keeping numbers back. But they still have the players up top who can wreak havoc. Tobin Heath just going to go to the corner, try to see this one out. Smith catches her from behind.
Heath trying to get her teammates where she wants them to be to get ready. She will play it short, just try to take a few more ticks off of that clock. And she gets fouled again in that corner.
It's a veteran move by Tobin Heath to get everyone on the same page, because let's not forget that it was Ford who tried to slide that across the 18. Still looking for goal.
If you're Portland, let's say the score stands. They come out. I know they're going to be happy to get the win. How do you think they feel about their performance? It is their third match in a week as well, with the midweek. As Ford comes through. Minutes of stoppage time added on. Most of that eaten up with that Haley Rasso injury. And Taylor Smith saying, look, I'm not fouling you this time.
I think it's been a strong performance by Portland. There were really quality glimpses that you get out of this attacking side at this point, but I think they look solid defensively, and they really didn't give Washington much to sniff at. At this point, there's still 5 minutes, as you said, Jones.
Yeah, which really is a decent amount of time with which to work. Washington trying to get something going on that far sideline. The time against them. Spirit with just one game remaining will actually take place during the international break. It's against Sky Blue FC. So an opportunity for two teams that really desperately would like to have a positive result and ending to their season. An opportunity there for them both to get that. Reminder that we are coming up on a FIFA international break. The U.S. women's national team will be in action for a couple of friendlies against Chile, their final preparation before World Cup qualifying in the fall. Both of those matches will be available on ESPN2. It'll be on Friday, August 31st, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Tuesday, September 4th at 10 p.m. Eastern. Both of those matches out west in Carson, California, and San Jose, California, respectively. One more substitution coming for Portland. It'll be Tyler Lucy. She had to start some matches early on, Lucy, for this Portland Thorns team when players like Tobin Heath were injured, but has not been called upon as often lately. She'll come on now and let Heath have at least a couple minutes of a break.
And I wonder if the ref made her go off that far side, because there's no way that Tobin Heath wouldn't saunter and kill some more time off this clock.
She was sauntering rather slowly over there.
As she should.
She's been playing well, hasn't she, Tobin?
It's remarkable. I mean, her ability, I know, her ability to just 1v1, you can just go look up any clips on YouTube and you'll see it. But I think the other things that she's brought is her awareness of where to be and when. With this Portland side, it's really adding a different element for them in the attack.
Wednesday night, she picked up another assist, tied for the all-time lead in assists in this league. Caitlin Ford may get an opportunity she wasn't necessarily anticipating, but they'll be waved off by the offside flag. Already 4 minutes into the allotted minimum of 5 minutes of stoppage time. So your thoughts on Washington in this match? I mean, we've talked about the season they've had. Were there some bright spots? Something to at least positive to take out of this one?
I think they were bright players. Bright glimpses of those players, if you will. I don't know that you saw much different cohesion to the squad. I think you saw more freedom, and that was something that the players were longing for. And so that's something that they can take out of here, but you're just not going to build Rome overnight.
Right.
It's just too disjointed.
Hatch with a turn into the area, near post. French falls on it, and you'd imagine that is just about going to do it. Portland Thorns came in knowing they needed a win to keep their hopes alive of claiming that second spot in a home semifinal. They get the win in 1-0 shutout fashion over the Spirit.
Mentality, peaking at the right time and getting the job done. That's what this Portland side's about, and I think you're seeing an ascension as they head into playoffs.
Heath's goal in the 15th minute, the difference in this one. So now there you go, the updated standings. Portland moving to within just a couple of points of Seattle, setting up that match on September 7th in a couple of weeks out in Portland. Now let's go down to the field in Dallin.
Thanks, Jen. Congratulations, Adriana. Another clean sheet. Now we already know it's set up now. 2 weeks, you're going to play with a chance to host a semifinal if you can beat Seattle on your field. How excited are you for that opportunity for your club?
That was what we talked about at the beginning of this game is, we need to take care of this game before that next. And now that next is in front of us, we're all super excited. I mean, they finished it. I didn't have to deal with much this game, so that was a friggin' team performance to make sure to be disciplined, to make sure we get that game, and we set our destiny.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Enjoy it. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Appreciate it.
We'll come back. We'll wrap it up here. Portland Thorns get it done. 1-0 win over the Spirit, setting up a showdown in 2 weeks in the Pacific Northwest. We'll be back here in Audi Field in just a minute.